Hey, J-Bo Nation, shaming of Jay. He's not a dopey dumb bitch. He gets laid. The court jester, the court DJ. It's time to dive into the case. To the case.
What's up, guys? They're already going, so let me get right over there.
Or we could do
That's
that.
one subject to with the new one, so we don't have to worry about it accidentally. You know, it's a very long report, which I'm not objecting to. For the record, it's gosh, it's 32 pages. So I have no objection. They want to take back the one that's just because if it accidentally goes in, it might be a problem.
So right now the redacted.
I think Kick is down. I can't get into Kick.
32.
32.
Kick
so
down?
32 will go in as full.
Is like the entire website kicked
The
down?
court is trying to determine whether the record is cleaner and just leaving 30 in as it is, or designating it as ID.
If we could designate it as ID just to keep it separate.
Yeah, Kick is
and
down,
ensure
folks.
that
The
it
entire
is, I would
thing.
ask to do that.
So states 30 ID exhibit.
All right, so we're all on YouTube now. Sorry,
Is there
guys. This
anything
Kick
else
is down.
before we start?
Not with this witness. Before the next couple of witnesses, I want to be heard briefly about where we're going to go with the questions because I may have an objection. I think based on what I was told, where
Perhaps
they
we
want to go
can
with
finish with Mr. Davis and
Yeah.
do this so we can.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. We can bring the jury back in, please.
All right, we're bringing the jury. Thanks for being here, everybody. Johnny, Charlotte, Dizzy, Aphie, Tina, Mike, Rachel, Janet, Carrie 28. I think I said Charlotte, but I'll say it again. Angie, Bobby, Lily, Katrina, Todd, Nancy, Debbie, Dizzy, I think I said. I never remember if I say names. Thank you all so much for being here. Joanne, Katie Girl, Jackie King.
Would counsel stipulate, please?
Thanks
Yes,
everyone
Honor.
for being here.
Yes.
Thank you.
Angel Baby, Amy.
We can bring the witness back in.
You got it,
Thank you,
Angie.
Honor.
Bonnie, Miko, good to see you, Miko. Rebecca, Stacy, the Kate O'Driscoll, Hospice Jess. Thanks for being here, everybody. I took the dogs for a walk on lunch. That's when I start getting ideas.
And you may be seated.
I already have some ideas for some Donna videos, so
Good
You may
afternoon.
inquire.
gonna start
Thank you,
working
Your
on
Honor. I
those.
apologize. Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Lieutenant Colonel. How are you?
Good, ma'am. Thank you.
And we left off before the lunch break with file 2, picture 7. I'm just going to go back one, or
Amy,
actually a couple.
Trenda,
Picture
thanks for
5.
being here.
With respect to the marking that you went over before the break, the GE1, where is that located on the screen, if you can, on picture 5? If you wouldn't mind getting up, sir. That's fine.
For folks coming in late, this is the blood spatter expert right now.
That's within GE1 is within this group here, or the top of the picture.
And I'm going to scroll up. Do you see those markings, the white up here on the upper right-hand part of the screen? Is that true? Is that where you're pointing to?
Yes, the white rectangle.
Okay, thank you. Now, I'm going to show you picture 8 out of that same folder. Do you recognize this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and where is this? I believe it's GW. And where is the GW in that marking?
The GW group is located here, which is the mid-lower center of this photograph.
And that's picture 5. Thank you. And with respect to the GW, I'm going to show you picture 9. If you can, just explain what that picture depicts.
So this photograph depicts an elliptically shaped stain, which we previously defined as a spatter stain because of its shape. This stain's a little bit wider in width, and again, in terms of characteristics, has a tail, which would indicate the trailing edge of the stain, leading edge being up here. So this characteristic tells us that in this photograph, this stain was traveling in a direction.
Whoops, I was muted. Thank you. I said thanks so much for subscribing to Shannon's channel, Hospice Jess. I think you'll like it. Thanks for telling me I was muted. Whoops.
From the upper portion of the photograph down towards the lower right portion of the photograph.
So I'm going to actually reference that and go back to States 5. When you say that the stain was coming from a direction, is that direction, or could you point out that direction on picture 5?
So in this picture, from the previous two, we looked at the white rectangles are aligned with the long axis of the stain. So in this photograph, these white rectangles are aligned with the long axis of the stain. In the GW that we just looked at, that stain was traveling, the directionality indicated was traveling from the top left of the picture towards the bottom right. So from left to right and towards us relative to this picture in the garage.
And with respect to the GE picture that we went through?
So again, similarly, GE is located in this photograph towards the upper central. The white rectangle scales were placed approximately along the long axis of those stains. And the characteristics of this stain indicate it was coming from the left portion of the picture towards the right portion of the picture.
Thank you, sir. Now, you can have a seat. Okay, thank you. With respect to, is there a certain methodology that you use in your BPA or blood stain pattern analysis to determine something called an area of convergence?
Yes, there is a methodology relative to a reconstruction of certain types of patterns, specifically an impact pattern, which includes a reconstruction of an area of convergence.
What is an area of convergence?
So simply put, an area of convergence, we just saw blood stains that impacted a surface. We saw blood stains that had directionality coming from one portion of the scene to the other. An area of convergence is lines, or essentially the two-dimensional flight paths of those drops that are essentially drawn back and they intersect in an area of space, which would indicate in the plane that the blood stains exist where the blood source was located. So the convergence is the space that contains the intersection of the directionalities of those blood stains.
And when you're talking about the plane or the two-dimensional plane here, what area are you talking about in this case?
The floor of the garage.
Okay. Now, with respect to determining that area of convergence, were there specific stains that you used throughout the garage?
Specifically at the left side of the garage were the stains that were utilized.
How many would they be called spatter stains? Is that the appropriate terminology?
Spatter, yes.
How many spatter stains were found in the left side of the garage in total?
A minimum of 26 stains were located on the left side of the garage.
And how many did you utilize in the course of your reconstruction?
There were 7 stains that were selected and utilized for that portion of the reconstruction.
Why 7?
The part of the methodology relative to a reconstruction regarding an impact pattern or area of origin relates to certain circumstances, which starts with stain selection. So we want to choose well-formed elliptical stains as part of the initial process of the reconstruction. Further, we want a representative sample from the distribution of those stains to get the best spread or the best diversification relative to the directionality that they traveled. So just to maybe make this a little bit clearer, we're talking about an impact pattern, which is a blood stain pattern that results from an object striking a source of liquid blood. So when that happens, blood is dispersed from an area source. Because blood's a liquid, it's non-compressible. The energy of the impact essentially causes the blood drops to break up and disperse. So they travel out in a radiating distribution that is, and the blood drops are traveling on a flight path that's essentially a parabolic arc, concave downward. So it's that mechanism and those characteristics that we're looking for and then further examining to reconstruct that area of origin.
So with respect to Area A, how many spots did you utilize in your reconstruction?
2 stains were used from Area A.
And just briefly, file, I believe 3, picture 1. Where were those stains, or is the area that you took those stains depicted in that photograph? Your Honor, if you could just go on up and point, thank you.
I need to read the labels, but
Here, I can scroll in.
the top stain in this picture, as it was zoomed in on, was one of the stains utilized.
Is that a better picture? This is picture 2?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and out of the 3 stains marked A16, A17, and A18, which one, if any, did you use?
A18 was utilized in the reconstruction.
And did you use another stain in Area A?
Yes.
Okay. And which stain did you use in that one? Here, I can show you picture 4. Is it out of A12, A13, A14, or A15? Did you utilize any of those?
The top right, A15 was utilized.
Okay. Now, if I can scroll. With respect to A15, when you say, why did you choose that stain, by the way?
This stain has well-defined edges. It's clearly elliptical in shape and has an evident directionality.
And what is the directionality?
Relative to this stain, it is traveling from the bottom left of the picture towards the top right, or top left, excuse me.
Okay. And that's 5. In Area B, how many stains did you utilize?
2 were utilized from Area B.
Do you recall which ones those were? Here, I can scroll up. We have B9, B10, and B11. If this is picture 7, may I inquire if any of those you utilized in your analysis?
B11 was utilized.
Okay. And why did you utilize B11? This is picture 8.
Same reasons as the previous one, A15, elliptical stain, evident directionality. and representative of the sectors of dispersion.
What is the directionality?
This stain is moving from, the directionality is from the lower right of the picture towards the upper left.
And picture 9, did you utilize that stain, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
And that is B3, exhibit 38.
Yes, ma'am.
Why did you utilize that picture, that stain?
Same reasons as before, the characteristics relative to it, and this stain is in a different portion of area B. So the directionality here is traveling from the upper right of the picture towards the bottom left. So again, this is choosing stains that are a representative sample of the dispersion that we saw, or I saw on the floor of the garage.
No, you said it was in a different area of B. I'm going to go back, if I can, to picture 6. What area did you mean by that?
The lower left of this picture.
And with respect to the B11, where was that?
B11 was in the upper center portion of the picture.
Okay. Now, what about area C? Did you utilize any stains in area C?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and picture 10 shows an area C. Is the area that you chose the stain from depicted in that photograph?
Yes, ma'am. Center portion.
Okay. Picture 11, what does that depict, sir?
This is a spatter stain that was designated as C2, located in area C.
And did you utilize that in your analysis?
Yes.
Why?
It's elliptical in shape, has an evident directionality, and is representative of the few stains that were in area C.
And with respect to area G, did you utilize any stains in there?
Yes, ma'am.
Is the area that is the stain that you utilized depicted in that photograph of area G, which is picture 12, please?
Yes, ma'am. Both 2 stains.
Okay, which stains did you utilize?
G20, which is the center portion of the picture, and G19, which is the lower right portion of the picture.
Picture 13. Sir, could you explain why you chose G19?
Again, this was representative of the entire pattern. The stain's elliptical in shape, has a slight indication of directionality towards the right edge.
And the direction?
In this picture, it is from the left portion of the picture towards the upper portion of the right side.
And G20, sir, why did you choose that one?
Elliptical in shape, clearly defined edges, and representative of the entire pattern on the floor.
Now, once you chose the specific stains, what is the next step?
The next step in the process is to measure the width and the length of the stains. So there's a relationship between the width and the length and the angle that the stain impacted the surface on. So in order to determine what that angle is, it's called an impact angle, which is really it's the angle between the flight path of the blood drop and the surface that it is deposited on. So there's a trigonometric.
Guys, generally speaking, when there's testimony, I'm on mute. So there's a couple of noises you're hearing. The Manhands court reporter who is bashing the keyboard, the type thing, the stenographer machine, and also there's the interpreter you hear, and also sometimes they like hit the microphone. So it's not me, I promise.
Ratio that relates the width and the length of the stain to the angle that it impacts.
Mods, block Elizabeth L, please. Thank you.
And did you conduct that analysis? The measurements and everything?
Yes.
Okay. After you conducted the measurements and we'll say the math, what's the next step?
The next step there is to determine the area of convergence of the stains, which in this case are essentially retracing their flight paths along the ground or the garage floor in this case to determine where and what area they intersect.
And how did you do that?
I did it with strings. We run strings through the long axis of the stain, opposite the direction of travel, opposite the direction that the stain was traveling. And they intersect in a space somewhere in that direction of travel.
If I can draw your attention to picture 15, sir. And I'm actually going to ask you about this group, if you can see my cursor, along the garage floor of pink strings. Could you just explain a little bit about what those are?
Yes. So the strings here, starting with the top left and going.
I mean, just awful, the amount of freaking blood that was in this garage. Just absolutely awful.
Counterclockwise represent are the flight paths of the stains that were selected for the analysis on the ground. So we're in this case we're dealing with a spatter pattern that is on the ground versus one that may be on a vertical surface, so horizontal surface. So these strings essentially represent the horizontal flight path of the drops as they were dispersed and landed towards the perimeter of the garage.
Now, there are a lot of times in looking at that photograph that the strings intersect. How did you determine the area of convergence out of that?
Right. So we see here as the flight paths of the stains have been drawn through the long axis, they converge. There are a space of intersections, which are essentially in the center of this photograph. So there are a number of different areas where at least 3 of the strings cross, which ultimately this space defines the area of convergence for those blood drops. So it's an area. It's not specifically a point in space. Blood is dispersed from an area source. And so the net result is an area of convergence where the intersections manifest.
If I can, I'm going to move on to picture 16. Sir, what does this show?
So this is a top-down view with the front of the garage being at the top of the picture. So this is a top-down view of the intersections that I just described. There are pink arrows that are pointing to 4 different areas in this photograph. 3 towards the center and 1 towards the lower portion of the picture. And then there's a yellow arrow that points to essentially a point onto on the garage floor.
And what is the yellow arrow?
So in determining the area of convergence here, because we are ultimately trying to determine, utilizing this method of reconstruction, essentially a point where we can measure to determine the area of origin or how high the blood stains were, in this case off of the floor, when the blood event occurred. So in order to do that, I measured the location relative to the surface here, or relative to the garage floor, of where these essentially focal points of intersections are, and then just take their average, which gives me a point here. Ultimately, this is a range, which in this case runs approximately 4 inches laterally and 11 inches vertically in this picture. But the mean of these intersections ultimately is represented by the yellow arrow on the floor.
Sir, what is an area of origin?
So an area of origin is the space in 3 dimensions where a blood source was dispersed from. So the convergence is 2 dimensions, in this case on the floor. That blood source, where it originates off the floor, in this case is the area of origin. If we had a spatter pattern on a vertical surface, we would essentially replicate this and then determine how far off of that vertical surface the blood source, where it resided.
And did you do that in this case?
Yes.
Move on to, I'm actually going to go to picture 18. What does that show, sir?
So this is the photograph of the completed reconstruction utilizing the angles of impact that were calculated from measurement, the measurement of each stain from that yellow arrow, that yellow area of convergence that was calculated previously. And then again through trigonometry or some math, the height of each of those stains above the floor was determined. So this puts us, in this case, there's a piece of white tape on this photo pole that's towards the center of the picture, which represents the average of each of the heights that comprise this reconstruction. So this height was approximately 3.5 feet, and again, it's a range because not every stain is coming back to a single point. A range of 36 to 43 inches.
And just to be clear, are you finished with your reconstruction at this point?
Relative to the, yes.
Okay. Are you, after you completed this, did you also have an opportunity to examine the Chevy Suburban at, I think you said New Canaan PD?
Yes, ma'am.
And with respect to the height that you determined on this area of origin, did that information you gleaned from the Chevy Suburban change the height, in your opinion?
So just as part of this reconstruction, these stains are on a horizontal surface. So the fact that they're downward moving stains, gravity and air resistance needs to be taken into effect on their flight paths. So the flight path over the ground remains constant, negating any wind currents or other fluctuations in that. But the vertical component of that, because they're downward, gravity and air resistance need to be taken into account. In examining the Suburban, there were spatter stains located on the right front door, the right rear door, and underneath the Suburban. So under the premise that the Suburban was in the garage at the time of the bloodshed event, the height of this reconstruction is not possible because the blood would have had to travel through the Suburban in order to be deposited onto the floor.
Now, I'm going to ask you a couple questions about the Suburban, if I can.
Before we move on to the next series of questions, Colonel, can you explain what the significance is of the areas of convergence?
Yes, Your Honor. The significance would be relative to a reconstruction that we can take static spatter stains and determine the area.
It's so interesting when he just kind of butts in and and asks for clarification. Like, I mean, I think it's great because he's trying to help the jury, but very rarely do you see a judge do that.
Area relative to the scene in 3 dimensions from where the blood source originated.
So the intersection of those strings what significance does that have?
The significance of we would be able to determine the position of the blood source. So in terms of if it was low to the ground, and I had a 3.5 foot, or I had a 3.5 foot area of convergence, and say testimony that the blood source was low to the ground, those are not compatible. So we can put that blood source, that area, in a location in space to determine or answer investigative questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So if you could take a look at the picture behind you, it's, I believe, picture 1 on file 4 states 31. Could you tell me what is the...
So I saw some comments about, Michelle not being kind of brought up yet as far as this. I think what the process, I could be wrong, but I think, they have to establish, this was a murder, and then they go into the conspiracy, or I could be wrong, but my guess is first they're going to get out that this was a murder, and then after that they're going to start getting into, how she was involved.
Depicted in that photograph, please?
This is a picture of the lower portion of the right rear door of the Suburban. So within this photograph, we have elliptically shaped spatter stains, predominantly concentrated in the lower half of the door. You can see in here there's directional angles that indicate on some of the stains that they're traveling from the lower portion of the door towards the upper portion, or right to left in this picture. We also have some stains that have some varying directionalities that are their directionality appears horizontal, like they're traveling.
I feel like this court reporter every day uses those like hand things, those things where they like it strengthens your hands. Like, this is the loudest typing I've ever heard. Calm down, madam. You don't need to bash the fucking keys. Jeez. Or it could be a dude. I don't know.
There's also a number of stains here that have a curvilinear type of distribution that go from the right portion of the picture and curve on a downward arc towards the lower part of the door and towards the running board. So there's a varying degree of, say, organization for these stains, because we have different orientations and different directional angles.
What does that tell you?
It conceivably, in terms of analysis, that these stains could be interrelated and come from the same event, or because they have different flight paths, there could be another event, or this could be a composite pattern that consists of multiple events relative to this deposition.
Is that relative to the area of convergence that we just saw, or is that relative to its own area?
I mean, at this point, it could be relative to that area of convergence or not.
And in your review of the Chevy Suburban, did you form an opinion as to whether or not the Chevy Suburban was parked in the garage at the time of the, blood impact?
I mean, based on the spatter stains that were on the Chevy, it's known history the day before, the 25th, the 24th, and the blood stains on the floor. It is likely that the Suburban was parked on the left side of the garage facing forward at the time of the bloodshed event.
Now, I'm going to move on to picture 2. What does this show, sir?
Pardon me. So this photograph is the lower portion of the forward part of the rear door of the Suburban. So we see on this lower portion spatter stains, again, some with directionality here that are traveling from the lower portion of the door towards the upper portion. Some have a flat trajectory again, like the pattern that we looked at before. But some of these stains are somewhat circular, so we can't necessarily discern direction from them.
So, and correct me if I'm wrong, so if you have multiple directions in one area, is that indicative of one impact event or more than one, or can you even say?
To some degree, that from relative to these stains, it's not conclusive.
I was able to find footage of the court reporter out on a date. I put it in the bottom corner of the screen.
Because these blood drops, even some that are on a horizontal plane, may have just been dispersed with a different velocity, and gravity is acting and air resistance are acting on them as they're traveling through the air. So that trajectory may have been flattened out instead of another drop that had a different velocity and is still traveling in the upward direction. So it's not conclusive. They're just not as organized in say in formation as as other patterns.
And picture 3, sir?
This was just a close-up picture of a spatter stain that was seized as an exhibit, and a closer up picture of some spatter stains, which here we can see directionality on lower right to upper left. And in this case, the center stain is traveling from right to left, but it has a downward direction to it.
And picture 4, sir, if you can describe that.
So this picture, so just to orient you to the picture, the seam here that is in the upper portion of the picture, the right part of this is the front door. The left part of this is the rear door. So underneath the vehicle here, we have spatter stains that are in a radiating type of distribution as we move from right to left across this picture. We have clearly elliptical stains, varied in size. Some stains are larger, which were 4 to 6 millimeters. Some stains millimeter to sub-millimeter and smaller. So in this picture, we have directionality on a flat surface underneath the vehicle. And this surface here beneath the ruler was angled to some degree. So it's a little hard to tell from this picture, the orientation. But we have stains impacting at angles relative to the underside of this vehicle, meaning their origin was below the ground clearance of the vehicle.
And did that determination play a factor into your opinion that the vehicle was parked in the garage at the time of the impact event?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Now, with respect to picture 5, sorry, if you could just explain, did you utilize that at all in your analysis?
Just in terms of observation that there were spatter stains on vertical surface, blood-like spatter stains on vertical surfaces underneath the vehicle.
And actually, going to go to picture 9. Sir, do you recognize what's depicted in that photograph?
Yes. Yes.
And can you explain your analysis of it, please?
So this stain was located on the rear tailgate, plastic portion of the rear tailgate. Circular in shape, has some scalloped edges here. It's indicative of a drip stain based on its size, which is approximately 10 millimeters. Further, we see edge characteristics here and a partial removal of the center portion of the stain with a directionality that goes from the stain in the center towards the upper right portion of the picture, indicating this is a drip stain that was subsequently wiped. We have edge characteristics that are remaining.
When you say a drip stain that's wiped, what do you mean by that?
So a drip stain was deposited here, a drop that formed due to gravity, and it was at some point altered.
Now, with respect to the other vehicle in the garage, the Range Rover, did you have an opportunity to examine that as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm going to draw your attention to file 5. Is that the vehicle that you examined?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you conduct a reconstruction on that vehicle as well?
In terms of area of convergence for the front door, yes. Okay.
And picture 2, what is depicted in that photograph, sir?
This is a photograph of the left front door, the driver's door of the Range Rover.
And is there any, did you utilize the same method of collecting spatter stains on the Range Rover that you did the same method that you described in your testimony with respect to the garage floor?
Not in terms of collection, but in terms of identifying representative samples from a radiating pattern and utilizing strings to determine an area of convergence, yes.
Okay, picture 3, sir.
So this is an angled view of the front door. We're better able to visualize the spatter stains. So we're looking at this photograph from the front of the car towards the rear. And in this picture, we can see spatter stains that are dispersed in a radiating distribution closer together towards the bottom left of the picture, further away as we get towards the upper right of the picture with directionalities that indicate the stains are traveling from lower left to upper right.
And did you utilize any one of those as a spatter stain in a reconstruction?
4 stains were utilized to just determine an area of convergence here. One was seized as an exhibit.
And picture 4?
Picture 4 is the left rear door of the Range Rover. In this picture, there are spatter stains that are deposited in a curvilinear type of distribution, meaning their directionalities. There are, in this case, moving from approximately horizontal and trending downward towards the lower right portion of the vehicle as they're deposited.
And picture 5, sir, if you could just explain what that is.
So in this picture, this is again, the left front door of the Range Rover. Stains representative from that radiating distribution were selected. Strings were pulled along the long axis opposite their direction of travel, similar to what was done on the garage floor. And these strings intersected at an area here on the vehicle, which was approximately 18 inches to the rear of the front seat, between the door and the front fender.
Sir, is that in any that area of convergence related or separate, in your opinion, to the area of convergence that was found on the garage floor?
So this is two-dimensional in this case. The garage floor was separated from this area of convergence by approximately 32 inches. So there's a spatial separation there. In this piece of the reconstruction, because there's varied angles relative to a car's surface, it's curved. So a three-dimensional analysis was not done here because of those curved surfaces and then related to the angles. So it's two-dimensional here. These stains would have originated at some point out in space or away from the car, but the distance that separated this pattern and the other area of convergence was 32 inches, almost 3 feet. They're offset by approximately a foot.
So if the two instances or area of convergences are offset by a foot and about 3 feet, are they related or separate incidences?
I mean, that's part of the data for the conclusion. But the other portion of that is relative to bloodstains that are underneath this vehicle, which are traveling under and towards the right rear. We have spatter on the Suburban traveling under and essentially radiating through all sides underneath. So we have spatial separation, different directions on patterns, and also really a lack of spatter stains in between the two vehicles, other than the two spatter stains that were in Area G.
So because of those factors, what does that tell us?
So based on those factors in the context of the scene, it indicates that there are mutually exclusive bloodshed events, one on each vehicle.
So does that mean there? I'm sorry. Let me ask you that. Does that mean that there were two impacts in that area?
A minimum of two.
And just briefly to go through, when you're talking about the disbursement of the patterns underneath the vehicle, does this photograph represent what you're talking about? This picture 7, if you can, or I can do picture 8.
Yeah, but this one I think is a little easier to see. So in this picture we have a long rectangular arrow and or long rectangular scale and a short rectangular scale. A green arrow in the center. So, within here, there are spatter stains that are essentially on the lower portion of the front door. So there's a plastic piece to this door that we can see that runs. There's a curved section on the upper portion between the sheet metal, plastic. The section that is in the center is relatively flat, and then this curves. This essentially curves underneath. There are spatter stains here that are in a radiating distribution. Some larger, 4 to 6 millimeters. Some smaller that have directional angles that are moving from the left side of the vehicle towards the right side, and from the left side of the vehicle towards the right rear. Also in this picture, this crease here that runs along the bottom edge of scale of item E, the lower portion of this picture is actually the underside of the vehicle. So it's horizontal. How this picture is oriented, it kind of makes this look like it's in the same plane, but just for awareness, the lower portion is under the vehicle, horizontal. This portion is curved and above the ground clearance.
I'm going to ask you a couple more questions about the Range Rover, sir. Were there instances of non-spatter on the Range Rover?
Yes.
And I'm going to show you file 6, please. And by non-spatter, what does that mean?
So we can maybe just back up a little bit relative to the non-spatter. So in determining classifications of stains, we use a taxonomic system, or a system that's based on characteristics, similar to how animals are identified by species. So depending on which system you utilize, a blood stain starts at the top, i.e. the animal kingdom. And then based on characteristics, we break down into smaller subgroups. The spatter subgroup are stains that are
Gail coming in hot with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Gail. Very much appreciated. Thank you.
circular, elliptical in shape, which we've been looking at in the most recent pictures. The non-spatter group are stains that are not circular or elliptical in shape. So when we look at initially characteristics and we see circular elliptical, we start examining characteristics in the spatter group. In this case, stains that are not circular or elliptical, we look at non-spatter.
If I can, I'm going to show you actually picture 3. And actually, if I can, I'm sorry. I'm going to actually go to 4. Picture 4, sir. If you could explain what your opinion is of that, please.
So this is the emblem that says Land Rover, which is on the driver's side of the vehicle, the left front. There's a spatter stain here that is not circular elliptical in shape. It has some well-defined edges, and it also has voids at certain locations within the pattern. So a void is an absence of blood in an otherwise continuous stain. Shape is relatively rectangular. And so based on that deposition, this is indicative of a transfer stain that has a pattern associated with it. So a pattern transfer.
Does that mean the item that had the blood-like substance on it touched that and transferred it, or what exactly does that mean?
So transfer is a result of a blood-stained surface contacting a non-blood-stained surface and leaving blood behind. Whether it's in a pattern or not depends on the object and how much blood.
Picture 5, please.
Another example: lower portion of the grill of a transfer stain or transfer stains that are located in this case in the center portion of the lower part of the grill in the picture.
And did you find any spatter on the tires?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. This tire?
Yes, ma'am. Left front.
Picture 7, please. Do you see that in there? Do you see any spatter stain in there?
Yes, so we're looking at the left front tire in this case. So there are blood.
Hey, Mimi Donna in the chat. Mimi Donna has sent so many kind messages. Mimi Donna is the good Donna. Everyone welcome her. Thanks so much for being here, Mimi Donna. This case is a wild case. We'll get you updated.
Small blood-like stains located in the spokes of the hubcap, primarily on the surfaces that are facing our direction. So we're looking at this tire essentially from the rear of the car forward. So there are small, mostly circular spatter stains located within the spokes of the hubcap.
And picture 8. What does that show?
So this is the left front portion of the bumper, the left side of the bumper. So we have the plastic bumper portion in the upper part, the gray plastic portion in the lower part. So in this picture, there are some somewhat circular or somewhat elliptical stains here. They really lack a consistency necessarily with one of those geometric shapes. Further, in some of these stains, the center portion has been removed, so we just have perimeter stains that are present there. Their distribution is essentially nonlinear. There's some stains that could be determined to have a linear orientation, but for the most part, it's a nonlinear distribution. Also beneath this Exhibit 69 sticker is a bloodstain that is representative of a flow pattern, which is essentially a volume of blood that moves along a surface relative to gravity, or a change or disruption in the surface. That's located at the corner of the bumper, the lower center of this picture.
Now, with respect to the perimeter stains on the upper middle, do you see that? Is that area in the upper middle? Yes, I'll show you my cursor. You testified that the inside of the stain may have been removed. Could that have been done if somebody wiped down the car?
That's one possibility.
Okay. And with respect to, actually, I'll leave it. If I may show you, go back to this picture, sir. This is file 5, I believe, picture 2. Do you see these markings that my cursor is going across the door from left to right or right to left? Are those indicative of wipe marks?
I couldn't say whether they are or they aren't.
Okay. And by wipe marks, I don't mean, by the way, a BPA. There wasn't any blood spatter under those markings, the left to right, the middle of the door. Is that correct? Well,
I'm sorry.
Let me rephrase. That's a bad question. I apologize. All the spatter marks on the driver's side door of the Range Rover, where were they contained in, or what area?
Relatively in the lower portion of the door.
Okay, so the area in the middle to upper portion of the door where we see those sweeping marks across the door, did you find any spatter stains in that area?
I'm not sure whether there was or wasn't any in that area relative to how high something may have
Been? Okay.
traveled.
And with respect to the perimeter stains here on picture 8 that you were showing, did you see those in other areas of the car as well?
Not perimeter stains.
Did you see them in the garage at all?
Exhibit 48, which was a drip stain, was a perimeter stain.
Okay. And I'm going to move on to exhibit, picture 10. What does that depict, sir?
It's kind of hard to see with the glare here. But previously we had talked about spatter stains, which are in the upper portion of this picture, and a flow that was in the lower portion of the picture. Here we see beneath the Exhibit 69 marker, a flow pattern, actually repetitive flow patterns here that don't seem to have a characteristic of where they originated from.
And how does a flow pattern happen?
It's a volume of blood that that moves across the surface. So if there was, if a drop of blood dripped onto the surface, it would impact the surface, and the remaining volume would, with gravity or contours relative to the surface, flow with gravity until either it dripped off the car or the volume was exhausted.
And does that picture show that those flows have a source?
I did not recognize a source of these flows in this photograph.
Thank you. Picture 11, please.
This is so to the left of the picture is the left front wheel. This is the lower portion of the vehicle behind the left front wheel, and there's a...
Yes, thank you, Brooklyn. We say this all the time. This is some heavy stuff we watch sometimes, pretty much all the time. If you need a mental health break, go outside, watch something else. We thank you for being here, but we know this can get tough. So if you need a break, please take a break.
Amorphous shaped transfer stain that's located in this area here, approximately an inch.
And picture 12 and 13, if I can. What do those show, sir?
12 was the left rear side
And was there
of the
a
vehicle.
non-spatter stain on the left rear side of the vehicle?
So there's a blood stain located right above the bumper, the left portion of the bumper there, which in this picture is again an amorphous shape indicative of, in this case, a transfer.
And sir, did you also examine the right side of the garage, I guess zoned as DEF? Do you remember that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and with respect to zones D, E, and F, actually gonna show you if I can. Last file, file 7, picture label 2. Is that the area that you looked at as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and with respect to area, I guess it would be D. When it works, if you can look at the screen, please. Well, let me ask you this, sir, while it's going down. Did you notice any, I guess, altered stains in area D?
Area D had swipes, altered stains.
Okay, and with respect to the wipes and swipes, were there any spatter stains, actually?
I did not observe any spatter stains in area D.
Okay. There. Picture 4, sir, if you can, did you notice any, you said wipes or swipes in this area? Is there anything in particular?
So this area, lower center of the picture, and say center of the picture, lower center of the picture, contained areas that were wiped and swiped, altered.
Okay, picture 5, what does that show?
Picture 5 is Exhibit 70. So there's essentially this shows right above the long axis of this L ruler portions of of a transfer stain that appear to have, in this case, short linear markings that are separated by essentially a void. So there's defined edges here, and they're separated by by voids.
It didn't read it. Well, Donnie said, first of all, thank you, Donnie. Second of all, Donnie said, have a prescription and need more cowbells. Just give me a second. I'll get that for you, Donnie.
There's a curvilinear type of aspect to these here, and then over towards the center, lower center of the picture, which is indicative of a pattern transfer.
Thank you. And apparently my battery is running low, so I'm going to keep going and ask for Attorney Moran's help if you don't mind. Picture 70 or picture 7. I think that's Exhibit 71. Sir, if you can explain, is that a swipe or a wipe?
So we can see swipes within 71, particularly wipes, directionality, and moving kind of back and forth here in 71, and also outlines of some geometric shapes and linear markings that have space in between them or void.
Here you go, Donnie.
Guess what? I got a fever. And the only prescription is more cowbell.
In between them, indicative of a pattern transfer.
Picture 9. Okay. Apparently when I plugged it in, give me 1 second. If I may have 1 moment, Your Honor. There you go. Picture 9, sir.
Center portion of the picture, we see transfer stains here. Again, linear stains that are arranged in kind of a hash mark type of arrangement with defined edges, voids in between them that are in the upper portion of the picture, the central portion of the picture, and then in the lower portion of the picture in varying arrangements, indicative of a pattern.
And sir, do you have an opinion as to what kind of pattern that is?
Contextually, it is suggestive of a footwear pattern, but not determinative.
Okay, and picture 11?
Within picture 11, towards the lower portion, we have relatively defined edges again, geometric shapes, in this case, let's say diamonds that are almost concentric, linear stains that are arranged in a hash type of arrangement with voids in between them. That's lower right of the picture, and center left, hash marks with spaces in between them with defined edges, and the lower portion of the picture, linear type of markings that resemble part of a geometric shape.
It's pretty much same question, sir. What does that also resemble a footprint?
Would be suggestive of footwear.
Okay. Picture 12B, Exhibit 51, and
in this picture is depicting in the lower portion essentially a white stain, an altered stain. And within this picture, there are in here. It's not only that there are indications of blood based on color and appearance, but also movement of material that's on the garage floor, i.e., dirt or some other type of substance.
And picture 13, sir.
Picture 13 in the center, there are essentially 3 ovals that are oriented long axis, top to bottom, direction not implied by that. There are partial voids in between the 3 ovals, and within, not throughout each, but within particularly the one on the left, there are voids that are located within that stain that are somewhat oval in shape or sesame seed size in shape. In the left one, the center one, and not as visible in
Guys,
the right
Prudence
one.
just got a bath because she
Could you make
smelled
any determination or opinion
pretty
as to
terribly.
what that is?
That appears to be a pattern transfer as far as I can say.
Attorney Manning, this would be an appropriate time to take the afternoon recess.
Yes, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will take our afternoon recess until 3:45. Please do not discuss the case.
3:45 is in 14 minutes. Let me just see something here. For those who are not in Eastern Standard, let me take a look here. Oh, Viv. Absolutely, Viv. You still here, Vivster? Is Vivster still here? No, Prudence just got a bath because Prudence and Penny stink to the high heavens. So Shannon is giving them baths. Viv just suggested we do another. We haven't done one for a couple months, but Viv is suggesting we do another paint and sip. What do you guys think before Valentine's Day? It's a very cool picture. I love the idea, Viv. I'm definitely down if you are down. All right, we'll do it. We'll do a for folks who are new to the channel. First of all, follow Viv if you're not, because she's awesome. I'm gonna put her link in here. She has an awesome art YouTube. It's great. And what we do for our patrons, if you want to join, we'll put it in here. We do a paint and sip where Viv leads us in painting some awesome pictures. Some people's come out really good. Some people's come out like trash, like me. But it's fun. We enjoy it. You don't even have to be on Discord because we do it on an unlisted YouTube link. So it's on YouTube, but we only give the link to our patrons because both Viv and I have Patreon. So we'll set that up, folks. So look out. Awesome, folks, for subscribing. So we're gonna do that. So we'll do that. We'll send out the link and let you guys know when we schedule that. And also, if you missed it in the first stream, me and Shannon are looking to set up. We've done a couple of double dates with Defense Diaries, where it's me, Shannon, Allie, and Bob. And we're going to look to do one shortly, possibly next Friday, where we stream from both our channels, kind of like what we did with Nerdy, and where Shannon and I try to convince Bob and Allie why Wendy Adelson will get arrested. That's not a Patreon only. That'll be for everyone. So look out for that. We're very excited about that. And then I don't know if it'll definitely be next Friday, but we're going to definitely do that. Also, Monday, folks. Monday is Donna's appearance, so we will be streaming that. We'd love for you to join us. Also, Saturday, Shannon has a stream at 7 p.m. Eastern, so make sure you are subscribed to her channel. I think you will like it. So Monday, whatever time it is Monday, I think MJ said before 10:30. Whatever time is, I will be streaming that, and then we'll go to this trial. But the priority on Monday will be Donna's hearing. It doesn't sound like Donna will be there. She will be there via Zoom, as well as the Rash. But nonetheless, I want to watch that hearing for sure. Yeah, blood spatter. Where is Shannon, Donnie? She is currently giving Penny a bath because she stinks. Both dogs stink. Thanks for subscribing, everyone. And Vivster is over 2,500 subs, which is awesome. Congratulations, Viv. You're crushing it over there. Charlotte needs to know, have any of you met another British Charlotte in the streams? I've met other Charlottes. I've seen other Charlottes, Charlotte, but I have not asked them if they're British. But I can do that if you want. But there's only one Charlotte that we recognize. Well, we recognize other ones, but we love our Charlotte. Oh, now both dogs are in here. I don't have my camera set up, but I could show you guys. Hold on, because I took the camera off because my main camera wasn't working, but I'll show you the friends who are now both bathed. And now they're scared of Shannon. Hold on. Did you guys get baths? And now they're scared that Shannon's going to give them another bath. Penny. And Prudence is licking Penny, as you could see. These two stink dogs. Penny. Penny. Did you get the bath? There, the good girl. That's the good friend. That's the good Penny. Come here. You're the good girl. That's right. That's right, Penny. I took them for a walk at lunch. It was snowing and cold, but they liked it nonetheless. They saw a squirrel. They saw a cat. Thank you, Dana. They are both rescue mutts. I've never had their blood tested, so I don't know what their, what mix they are, but we rescued both of them. Penny's from North Carolina. Prudence is from Long Island. Donnie asked, do I know what one of T-Rev's mods said to him yesterday? No. Donnie, what did one of T-Rev's mods say to you? We got about 6 minutes until court is back for folks. Oh boy is right. Donnie did get T-Rev to say Beetlejuice, so that was interesting. He sent me that. He sent me that video. Can I tell you guys what's a weird thing today? And it's nice, but like people asking for me to comment on something. Like people wondering what my thoughts were on the Rashbaum interview. It's weird to have people want to have your like why would they want me to know? But it's cool. And I'm thinking maybe I'll do a live. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I mean, I kind of let my thoughts known in the first stream. Donnie, what are your favorite YouTube channels? Where did Donnie go? I'm curious what Donnie's favorite YouTube channels are. But Donnie has disappeared now. About 5 minutes, folks. 5 minutes. Thank you, Lily Polly. I appreciate. Oh, and by the way, folks, Kick is like completely down. The website is completely down. But when it's back up, make sure you're following Missy Mayhem on there. Missy, put your link in here if you want to. Thank you. That's so kind, Amy. Look up Jay. Look up Jay. What does that mean, Donnie? Look up Jay. Oh, you said what they said, Donnie? I didn't see what you wrote. No, Donnie, no one saw you after you asked me what one of the mods said. I didn't see anything, Donnie. Donnie, you didn't say, Donnie. Oh, I asked where he was. But Donnie, what did T-Rev's mod say to you? A class clown? I mean, that's fair, Donnie, but we love you for that. We love that you're a class clown. T-Rev's another streamer. Thank you, Kat. Kat says, in my opinion, you are at your very best when you feel passionate about a case. Thank you, Kat. Donnie said, the mod said Donnie was a class clown. So then Donnie said, go fuck yourself. And then he left. Are you blocked on the channel, Donnie? Are you? Rabbit asked, did Shannon get the email to her Gmail account about all the background on Lisk? I don't know. I'll have to ask her. Maybe now. Donnie, list your top 5 favorite YouTube streamers, Donnie? Can you do that? That's true. There are a lot of class clowns in here. I'll tell you this. I was not a class clown in high school. I did not want any attention on. Oxhorn? Is Oxhorn your favorite? T-Rev's chat, Amy. T-Rev. We got 2 minutes until we're back, guys. 2 minutes until we're back. Yes, we do love Bigfoot Odyssey. That's your favorite YouTube channel? That's a good question. Is anyone watching the Dateline tonight? Yes, we are a family, a dysfunctional one, but we want everyone to feel comfortable. Amen, Brooklyn. Amen. I haven't played Brooklyn's song in a while, so gotta play that.
Good afternoon.
Oh, we're back.
Please be seated. Thank you.
Punctual.
Before the jury comes out and our client is being summoned, I know that after that there's going to be a couple of brief witnesses, at least one brief witness, evidence collection officer that collected evidence.
Ooh, Elizabeth, that was a big rebel. She got kicked from the student council and varsity tennis. Ooh, Elizabeth, that was a big time rebel. Hey, there's Karen. Hey, Karen.
In Hartford. I have no objection to that. What I'm going to object to, and I don't know how far.
Did you get kicked from the flag team too, Elizabeth? Did you get kicked from debate club, Elizabeth? What else did you get kicked from, Elizabeth?
The state wishes to go.
Elizabeth is like, I was a big rebel. I got kicked from the tennis team and from student council. You know what I say to that?
They found things of evidentiary value and collected it. Then she's going to ask, why did you collect that? Which raises not only the age-old hearsay question, but the relevance question. The fact that police decided to collect something can only be based on hearsay of what other people told them. And why they did that is irrelevant to the case. And there's a million cases on that. I don't have it to cite right now, but there's no.
Well, this is more interesting. Permanently banned from Tinder, a Best Buy, and a resort in Mexico?
Need for them to explain in hearsay terms why a police officer collected a piece of evidence any more than they says, well, I read it in a warrant that a judge signed and it was probable cause or whatever the reason is. They brought out the fact that their interest turned to Hartford.
Dana P., I was captain of the safety patrol. Seriously hurt my dating odds.
It's going to have something to do with collecting videos from Albany Avenue in Hartford. And that I have no objection to any of that. But if they
I always love Sarah, who's always like 15 minutes late in the chat. Always love Sarah. Sarah, you're the best.
They go, why did we want to go? Oh, well, we saw a truck and we heard that this was related to Fotis Dulos. That's the hearsay that I would object to, and it's not relevant that he was told that as a reason.
Well, first, the court just wants to get an idea of the schedule for today. How much longer do you think you have with Colonel Davison?
I have one photograph and a couple pictures, Your Honor. I'm sorry, one photograph, one picture, a couple questions, nothing more. I'm going to end that with Lieutenant Colonel Davison. With respect to the, I have two witnesses. I think with the length of time, I had three, but I don't think we're going to get to the third. The two witnesses are Sergeant Ventresca and then Mike Fitzsimon. Retired trooper Fitzsimon collected a video. He's going to discuss what he collected, authenticate the video, as well as explain why he went to that particular place and what he saw, and then what he did after that. I think that's perfectly within his rights to say why he did something. I think that's very clear in the code of evidence that an individual can testify that because they were told some information, they made an analysis and interpreted it and went and did something off of it. I think that's very clear as to why it's there. Now, I'm a little unsure as to whether counsel is objecting at this point to that question, or is he objecting to the officer then, I guess, detailing what he saw on the screen and then what the next steps he did and the reasons why he did that. They're two different things and two different analysis. And I do have cases that allow both.
Well, before we even reach that, Attorney Shannon has the opportunity to cross-examine Colonel Davison.
Yes.
So are we even going to get to those witnesses
No
today?
way.
Yes, we will. I maybe
No
have
way.
15 minutes of cross.
I said this before, and I say it again. You never trust an attorney when they give you how much time their direct or cross is going to be. My guess is there is no way we get another witness. This guy is going to be all over this blood spatter expert. It's going to take the rest of the day, in my opinion.
Examination. So I've got a couple of questions. I'll just hold a piece of paper. It's only like a couple of lines per page. So, I waste paper, but I didn't write a lot on it.
Well, rather than try to address the hearsay concerns now, we can just bring the jury back in and conclude with the direct examination of Colonel Davison.
Thank you.
You can bring the jury back in, please.
Additionally, I'm going to say this additionally.
You will bring the jury.
If this witness, at the end of his blood spatter testimony, doesn't have some sort of...
Lieutenant Colonel.
If this witness, at the end of his testimony, doesn't have some sort of graphic or kind of thing like the two gray boys, some sort of reenactment, but better than that, obviously. If he doesn't have something to explain what he's been talking about this entire time, what he thinks happened, I'm going to be completely lost, and his testimony will only mean to me that there was a lot of blood. If he doesn't have some sort of graphic showing what happened, completely whatever he said, completely lost to me, other than that there was a lot of blood and it was spattered.
Yes.
Thank you. Photographs I have. Do you recall in the right bay of the garage, were there garbage cans in that garage?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you examine or have an opportunity to look at those garbage cans?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you determine or analyze them and see if there was any altered stains or transfer stains or any of the stains that you were discussing today?
Yes, there were blood stains on parts of the garbage can.
Okay, I'm going to show you out of file 7, please, picture 23. Do you recognize what's depicted in that photograph?
Yes, ma'am.
You could go up if you can. If that's okay, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Sir, are there any transfer stains, or perhaps you could just describe it?
So this photograph is of the, say, if we're facing the garbage cans, it's the right garbage can, so the one closest to the garage door. Marked here by the square, rectangular white marker is a transfer stain that contains some defined edges, some voids within those edges. In
somewhat elliptical shapes, which is as characteristic of a pattern transfer.
And with respect to picture 25, sir?
Picture 25 is the left garbage can, so the one further away from the garage door. In the center portion of this photograph, just above the upper white rectangle is a transfer stain. And in the lower portion of the picture, just above the lower white rectangle is a transfer stain, small.
Thank you, sir. You can have a seat. And I have nothing further. Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel.
Thank you. Cross-examination, please.
Nothing further? How is there not some sort of visual representation of what's going on?
Thank you. I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions so I understand what you do and what you did in this situation. I take it that when you're doing trajectory and looking at the pattern, you are using some kind of math to decide an angles back to a certain point. Is that a fair sort of common lay concept of what you're trying to do?
Yes, sir. The angles related to coming back are the impact angles where the blood drop impacted. Those are utilized to determine that area. Yes.
And when you talk about impact, could that be close to what you referred to as the area of convergence?
The area of origin, sir?
Area of origin, yes.
They could be close together, yes.
And I want to just call up a couple of pictures that you looked at already in folder 3. Could I have, let's start with 18, please. And if you'll just turn around, unless you can see it right there, and I don't know if this screen is on, but if you look at 18, you don't have to get up because I have this little device here, but let me just make sure it's on. Okay. If you look behind you, you use this tripod device to come up with a point of that you refer to as an area of convergence. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's marking it. Yes, sir.
Right. And it's, if you could call up the next photograph, please, 19, please. So there's a little bit closer up of the same, essentially the same angle, camera angle, correct?
Yes, sir.
So if we look at this white device in the middle, that's located in the middle of this tripod, is this the general area that you determined to be the area of convergence?
Yes, sir.
And so that we're clear from this image, which is in folder 3, it's number 19, referring to an area that's to the left of the driver's door of the Range Rover, correct?
Yes.
That's a Range Rover, the black vehicle, right? Am I correct? You know that?
Yes.
All right. So, and that Range Rover is parked immediately in front of, it looks like some stairs going up into the home itself. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And several of the pictures that we looked at up close showed drops that had been, according to you, dispersed onto the side of this Range Rover, correct?
Yes, sir.
And if we were to assume that those red spots were blood, you would trace them back to this general area of convergence here, correct?
Not on that vehicle, sir.
Not from that
Not
vehicle?
from that vehicle.
Okay. From what was on the floor?
Correct.
Okay. And if I'm also understanding you correctly, some of the pictures you showed us, and I'm not going to go to those pictures, did show some pattern splatter underneath that vehicle, correct?
That vehicle?
That vehicle.
Yes, sir.
And that suggested to you that the point of origin, if you will, of the blood was either equal to or below the level of that vehicle, correct?
Yes, the area of origin below.
Right. So, at least in layman's term, close to the garage floor.
Correct.
You also assume, well, let me actually go to the next, could you go to 20, please, for a second? And I just want to ask you, so this is a different view of the same vehicle. This is the opposite side of the garage, correct?
Yes, sir.
So this photograph was taken with the photographer's back to the wall where the door to the house is, right?
Correct.
And the other pictures were taken, from what I can tell, somewhere over here by the middle garage bay door, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, if I were to zoom in, you did not put the yellow tape down on this, did you, yourself?
No.
Were you present when that was done?
No.
It was done before you got there,
Correct.
right? So if you could just zoom in on this tape here. You recognize this as the kind of evidence tape that's used often in analysis by the detectives that do the evidence collection, correct?
Yes, sir.
And if I'm counting this correctly, this yellow tape, this is inches and not centimeters, am I right?
Inches, right.
So if I just count across, could you zoom out slightly, please? If we use this pink, do you know what this pink line is over here? On the right, for the record, I'm just referring to a pink line that we see that sort of crosses the yellow tape on the right. If you would zoom out again so maybe the witness can see it a little bit better. Does that help you indicate what it is?
Yes, sir.
All right, could you just tell the jury what that is?
That's one of the strings that represents the trajectory of the spatter stain on the floor.
Okay, so, and that is going to a spot on the floor, is that right? Somewhere that's now to the right, off the side of this photograph, correct?
Correct.
Now, if you look at the back of this photograph, although it's not measured specifically, where the tripod is set up and where the area of convergence is here is just to the right of the center of the wall that separates the garage bay to the right to the garage bay in the middle to the garage bay on the left, and of course I'm referring to it from the outside, so we're looking at it backwards. So if this is a bad question. Let me start over. All right, you agree that the Range Rover was parked in the center bay of that garage?
Yes.
And if we're orienting the garage from outside the garage looking in, the center would be to the left of the Range Rover, correct?
I'm not sure I understand the center.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The center bay where the Range Rover is would in fact be to the right of the empty garage bay that we see in this photograph. Is that right?
Right.
Okay. I'm not, ambidextrous, but I'm getting my two directions mixed up. So do you know how wide the wall was between the
I'm not ambidextrous, but I'm a moron.
the two bays?
No, sir. Not to my recollection.
Do you know if anyone had specifically taken measurements of that width?
I'm not sure. It may be in the sketch map.
Okay. The reason I'm asking you is for deciding that the blood splatter pattern that you saw on the Suburban, you had to assume that the Suburban was parked in that left garage bay, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you did that because when you first observed the Suburban, where was it?
Well, I first observed it at New Canaan Police Department.
So it had already been moved from the location where it apparently had been found by the New Canaan Police, right?
Right.
And it had been moved after certain state police detectives had also looked at it, right?
Yes, sir.
And you did report, you did indicate.
I mean, here's the thing about this and why I just don't get it. And Bob could probably explain it to me. But ain't no person on this earth, in my opinion, not going to believe that Jennifer Dulos wasn't murdered in her garage with blood everywhere. There's no person that's going to think that. Just no one is not like with all this evidence. There's just no way. So what is he doing here? What is he trying to prove? I don't get it. I would understand if he was making a big deal about like what Michelle said during her interrogation or what she did, but this like why? Why is this necessary? It's ridiculous. I don't know.
In your report that at the location where the Suburban was found on May 24th, that no evidence on the vehicle of bloodstaining was reported. Is that correct?
Right.
And you observed it at the headquarters where it was taken. It was taken by some kind of tow vehicle, correct?
Yes, sir.
When you examined the Suburban, thank you, you can take down that picture right now, please. Thank you. When you examined the Suburban, you noticed that there was, I'll call it a similar type of spatter that traveled from the one direction towards the rear of the vehicle. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And you also observed some spatter underneath that vehicle as well, the Suburban we're talking about now, right?
Correct.
So your conclusions with regard to how that spatter ended up on the Suburban was consistent with your previous conclusion that the area of origin was close to the cement floor, correct?
Yes.
And again, that assumes that the Suburban was parked, I guess, in a straight line, pulled straight into that garage?
Facing the house, yes.
If the car had been parked on an angle, like pulled in but then pulled to the left, so it was on a sort of diagonal somewhat in the garage, would that have changed your analysis or not?
It would depend on the severity, but I don't think so, sir.
All right. Now I'm going to ask you some questions about some of these, you called it transfer patterns that you saw in the some of the photographs. And I'm just going to call up one. Would you please call up from folder 7, number 18, please? You recall being asked about this by Ms. Manning, correct?
I don't believe we reviewed that one, sir.
You did not review this one?
I skipped that one.
Oh, you skipped it.
You can go.
All right. Do you recall that this is one of the images that you saw in the on the garage floor as part of your analysis?
Yes, sir.
All right. And I'm going to ask you just a couple of questions. You indicated as to some of the other, I just chose this one. There were a couple of others we looked at towards the end here where there was like a diamond and some lines as well that you referred to also as a transfer pattern, correct?
Yes.
And you said it was consistent with or might be a shoe print. Is that right?
I believe I said it was suggestive or characteristic of a footwear.
Okay. Now you're not an expert in shoe pattern or shoe sole patterns, correct?
No, sir, I'm not.
So if I asked you what kind of shoe that might be, you don't know.
I do not know.
You can't tell the size of the shoe from this image?
No, not as a footwear examiner.
You can't tell if it's a male or female shoe?
No.
Or even what kind of footwear it is?
Uh-oh. Why is the robot no longer reading it? Karen said, Donnie might have taken my card, but I beat your amount, so suck it. Love you, Jay. Love you, Karen. You're the best. I got to figure out why. I think Donnie broke the robot. Thank you so much, Karen. You're the best.
No.
In your review of the various transfer patterns, did you see any tire tread patterns that appeared to be stained similarly to what we're seeing in this image?
Not tire tread, sir.
None at all.
No.
And is that something you would at least, if you had seen it, you would have noted that?
Yes, sir.
The clearance between the, you did do a measurement, or at least obtain measurements of the clearance between the bottom of the door of both vehicles, the running board and the ground, correct?
Yes, sir.
And the ground clearance, as I understand on the Suburban, was 11.5 inches, is that right?
That's correct, sir.
And you indicated that the some of the blood, some of the spatter stain you saw was below, had traveled upwards to the underside of that vehicle, correct?
Yes, sir.
So would that suggest, or at least would you have the opinion then, that the source of that spatter was below 11.5 inches, so the trajectory would allow it to go under the running board?
Right.
I just have a few more questions. You looked at a number of photographs that you said appeared to be wipe or swipe or wipe type stains. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
You did not yourself determine whether all of those white marks were in fact a blood-like substance, did you?
No.
You don't know which ones were tested for that and which ones were not, right?
I do.
All right. But were all of the ones that you talked about today all tested for blood?
No, sir.
And were all of them tested even for DNA presence?
No, sir.
Can you tell from the photographs that we watched what kind of instrument was used to perform that wiping?
No, sir.
So you can't say whether it was a sponge
No.
or a mop
No.
or a piece of cloth?
No.
You would have to examine a piece of cloth or a sponge or a mop just to maybe make that comparison?
Right. Yes, if there was something to compare it to.
And there was nothing about the way it was wiped. You can't tell if the person was left-handed or right-handed.
No,
Is that
sir.
right? If I could just have a moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
Oh, I guess he wasn't that long. That's what she said.
Sergeant Ventresta. Your Honor, the state would call Sergeant Ventresta.
He said his name?
Thank you.
There's I'm having a stroke? There's a sidebar going on right now, guys. Oh, my sound effects aren't working at all. Why is that? Why are my sound effects not working? Oh, maybe the robot will work now. I wonder if they're determining how much they can get done, because they usually end promptly at 4:45, which is in 35 minutes, folks. 35.
There's nothing called promptly scheduled for 4:45 p.m. to 5:45 p.m. today.
Hey Siri. I wasn't talking to you.
Okay.
Hey Siri, will you spare me when the robots take over?
Here's what I found.
Hey Siri, when do you think AI will take over the world?
I don't have an answer for that. Is there something else I can help with?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Will you spare the humans when the robots take over?
Here's what I found.
They never answer. Call Dennis Miller, Donnie, the comedian? Agree, Missy. Siri does sound... Hey, Siri, what do you think about Donnie?
I don't have an answer for that. Is there something else I can help with?
No. We're in the sidebar, folks. Todd jinxed it. Todd said no sidebars. You guys want to see something cool? Yes, of course you do. So my TikTok started out great, but had been trash. But recently I've had some good ones, so I wanted to see how many views I've had altogether. Why is this not on live anymore? So I checked how many views I have on there. Watch this. Squidoosh. 195 million views I've had on TikTok. Is that not wild? 195 million views. Anyway, I stopped paying attention to it because I kept posting and none of my videos were hitting, and finally they started hitting again. Who's that guy? My one video has like 30 million, so it's a lot of that. But finally, some of my videos about Grandma Gotti have been hitting. I had been doing terrible on there for the longest time. Amy, I am not famous. The funny thing about TikTok is you could have a million, you could have so many subscribers, but there's really no community on there like Twitter or Instagram even, or YouTube. Like no one on TikTok, if I went live, people would be like, who the hell is this asshole? Like they're like, no one knows. And I mean, a lot of it is I don't post videos of me, but I do make money, but it's like a very small amount, like $15 a month or something like that. Oh, Ayana, yeah, you just hit the live button. Are they even going to get this witness in before the end of the day? Maybe they're going to end the day. Who knows? I mean, why would they bring him in? All right, they're coming back, folks. Here we go.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or upon penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Please state your name and spelling for the record.
Sergeant Kenneth Netruska, KENNETHVENTRESCA.
And Sergeant, you may be seated.
I would have never got that one.
May I inquire, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Sergeant Ventresca, who do you work for, sir?
The Connecticut State Police.
And how long have you been employed by the Connecticut State Police?
18 years?
And your current rank is sergeant?
Yes, Sergeant.
And are you assigned to a particular division?
Yeah, right now I'm assigned to the Connecticut State Police Computer Crimes Unit.
How long have you been there?
Since September of this past year, September of 2023.
In 2019, what was your assignment?
I was assigned as the Supervisor Sergeant of the Western District Major Crime Troop G Bridgeport Field Office.
And just to quickly, is that with respect to investigations or crime scene analysis?
No, separate from crime van, crime scene, we're the investigation side.
Could you please discuss a little bit about your training and experience with the Connecticut State
Yep.
Police?
So I graduated the academy in 2006, roughly 8 years of patrol down in Fairfield County, detective in the South Barry area, got promoted to sergeant, back to Troop G for patrol sergeant duties, and then my tested for major crime in 2015 and made the rank of detective sergeant. And I was assigned to Troop B in North Canaan, and then I was transferred down to Troop G in Bridgeport and to run that office.
Could you briefly describe some of your duties and responsibilities as a sergeant at the Western District?
Yep, just accounting for personnel, signing leads, overseeing.
Thank you so much, Shelly, for the $2 super chat. Thank you so much, Shelly. You're the best.
Time schedules, ensuring that reports are completed in a timely manner, reviewing of reports and such like that.
Were you also involved in investigations themselves?
Yes.
Did you assist other agencies?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And when you would assist other agencies, what would that look like?
Depending on the agency, depending on the request, most of the time it was for bringing in experience and manpower. So typically, smaller towns, if they get certain types of crimes that they need assistance, will come out and assist with canvassing and interviews and all that stuff.
And with respect to being a sergeant in 2019, specifically around May of 2019, how many individuals did you supervise?
5 detectives in my office.
And that was out of the Troop G office?
The Troop G office.
Was there another troop that handled major crimes or investigations in the Western District?
Yeah, there's, you have field office in Troop A in Southbury, field office Troop G in North Canaan, and a field office in Troop L in Litchfield.
Now, were you called in to assist in the investigation into the disappearance of Jennifer Doulos in May of 2019?
Yes.
How did you get involved?
So initially, our crime van personnel rolled out as an assist. I guess there was a scene in the garage. Upon our crime van arriving on scene.
All right, Shelly did this for Donnie. Let's see if the robot speaks in a British accent. The robot's not working. Sorry, Donnie. Thank you so much, Shelly. Sorry, Donnie. Sorry, Shelly. Thank you so much. I don't know why it's not working anymore.
Our crime van personnel reached out to me, and then I called out my detectives, and we went out to the scene.
And in the time following May 24th, 25th time period, can you explain the Connecticut State Police role in relation to that investigation?
Right. So initially, we got called in to assist in a missing persons investigation. So for the first few days, we were assisting New Canaan Police Department with generating leads, neighborhood canvassing, various police functions, because, again, we're able to bring the manpower.
Now, with respect to that time period, that early, about a week or so after May 24th, did you take any investigative steps?
You're talking about a week after the initial call out?
Let me be a little more specific on that. The following weekend, around May 27th, 28th time period, what did you do?
All right, so that weekend, I'll start with the 25th. We were at the New Canaan Police Department. We were assisting with neighborhood canvasses, trying to piece this missing person investigation together. On that Sunday, I believe it was the 26th, Officer Patton with the New Canaan Police Department had contacted the Connecticut State Police regarding some preliminary phone locations regarding Fotis Doulos' handset, his phone, his cellular phone.
And did he inform you of those preliminary locations that were found on the phone?
I can't recall if he personally informed me or it came from one of my detectives, but I can tell you that Officer Patton informed the Western District Major Crime Squad.
And what was it about the location on the phone information?
So I was advised on that Sunday, the 26th. It was very brief. It's very preliminary, but it's basically Fotis' handset, which is his cell phone. I'm going to keep saying handset, is the day of his wife's disappearance, which was May 24th. It remained in the Farmington area for most of the day.
Janet coming in hot. Let's see if the robot works. I don't have faith. Thank you so much, Janet. You're the best. I'm going to hit the test button. I could test it on the website. Let's see what happens. Thank you so much, Janet.
This is a test message.
Well, it worked on the test. Thank you so much, Janet. Whoops.
I remember there was talk of probably a bunch of missed calls.
Your Honor, of talk or anything else, I haven't objected to this.
And I don't claim a lot of that. If I can direct him to a specific
Okay.
part. Sir, with respect to location data at
Okay.
around 7 o'clock
Okay.
p.m.
So location data around 7 o'clock p.m. Put Mr. Doulos' handset up in the Albany Avenue, Hartford area
And
for May 24th, the evening of the 24th.
for the evening of the
Yes.
24th? Okay, and what was that time?
That was approximately 7 p.m., 7:10-ish.
And why did you take note of that?
Well,
Well, the question is, for what reason did Sergeant Ventresca take note of the fact that the cellular phone owned by POTUS Doulos was in the area of Albany Avenue at 7 or around 7 p.m.? Overruled.
Can you just repeat it again for me? No.
Why did you take note of the fact or the information that you had received that POTUS Doulos' handset was in the area of Albany Avenue around 7 p.m. on 5/24?
All right, well, first and foremost, there's a missing person, and we're 48 hours into this. We haven't located her, so there's an exigency component on that. Secondly, Albany Avenue, Hartford area, it's a rather high crime area, the city of Hartford. But regardless, regarding those handset locations, we are going to go canvass the area. We're going to look for any videos or any witnesses in the area and see what his business is there in that area. We don't know of any real estate properties he's already owned. We know that 80 Mountain Spring was a house for sale. We know that he lived on 4 Jefferson Crossing. So we didn't know what business he had doing in Hartford.
Well, let me ask you about that. In the course of those 48 hours, did you look into what POTUS Doulos did for a living?
Yes.
And what did you learn?
We looked into the 4-group business. We went on their website. We saw the employees. We saw houses for sale.
And because of what you saw, did you take any actions?
Yeah, so on Sunday, once we received the locations, I called out one of my detectives, and we traveled actually to the Farmington area and Hartford area.
What day did you go to the Farmington area?
Sunday, May 26th.
And where specifically did you go?
So Sunday was I'll call it a cursory canvas. Again, me being the sergeant, it's trying to get leads for the detectives. So we traveled to Farmington. We traveled down Jefferson Crossing, which 4 Jefferson Crossing, where Mr. Doulos had lived. We traveled to 80 Mountain Spring. Didn't do anything at those residences other than a drive-by, and then traveled to Hartford and just drove Albany Avenue.
Okay. With respect, you mentioned 80 Mountain Spring.
Yep.
Why did you go Why did you go there?
Well, 80 Mountain Spring was a piece of property that Mr. Doulos was selling, well, the 4 group was selling. And also, too, there were, going back to those phone locations, there was some activity.
Well, the question was, why did you go to 80 Mountain Road? And the response was, it was a piece of property that Mr. Doulos had put up for sale. The court did not know what was coming next. So the court does not know beyond that what the response was.
If I may, Your Honor, I believe he also stated that because he started to get into something with respect to the phone, the handset information, and that's when counsel objected.
Well, perhaps it would be better if you just ask another question.
That's fine, sir. Actually, did you go to 80 Mountain Spring Road?
We did. We drove through 80, past 80 Mountain Spring, yes.
If I may, just have a moment with counsel.
Okay.
Your Honor, with respect to state offered 33, there are, with respect to items 1 through 7 at this time, I believe there's an agreement with respect to full. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank
So
you.
States 33 will be admitted as a full exhibit.
With respect to 1 through 7.
They're
Photographs 1 through 7.
Thank you.
They need a little development.
Behind you, this is States 33, photograph 1. Do you recognize the area or what is depicted in that photograph?
I do. It's a Jefferson Crossing, kind of running across the screen and Eli Road, which turns into Deer Cliff, kind of going up and down the street.
Well, Sergeant Ventresca can approach the screen.
Thank you, Your
with-
Honor.
Okay, so you have Jefferson Crossing there, Deer Cliff, which turns into Eli Road over here.
And at what point does Deer Cliff turn into Eli?
I want to say right just north of 4 Jefferson Crossing,
Okay. And when you say,
assuming that's true north right there.
do you know what residence was Photostoulos'?
4 Jefferson Crossing.
That's 4 Jefferson Crossing. And the other houses around it, do you know the addresses?
Yeah, this is 2 Jefferson Crossing, 1 Jefferson Crossing. And then I could tell you that that's 77 Eli Road right there.
And why do you point out 77 Eli Road?
I also had stopped at 77 Eli Road on that Sunday, the 26th.
Why did you stop on that road?
During our cursory canvas, driving down Eli, we noticed that there was a camera on one of the stone pillars outside of the residence, a really clear shot of the camera. Obviously, we knocked on the door, got consent from the owner to view that video. Ultimately, detectives went back up and seized video from the house.
Okay. You didn't seize that video?
No, it was like something with the size of the file that day. So we had to send detectives back up. We generated a lead and they went back up
Okay.
the following days.
Now, I'm going to show you picture 2. What is that a photograph of, sir?
The 4 Jefferson Crossing. Obviously, we have police cars in the driveway, but looks like 4 Jefferson Crossing.
And picture 3. Is 4 Jefferson Crossing on that map? No, it's...
Appears to be right there.
If I may, I'm gonna... Is it depicted on there? Is the one with the yellow?
Yeah, right here with the yellow. I mean, I'm assuming
Yeah, it's depicted there where it says 4 Jefferson Crossing.
that's,
Yeah. And this is, you said Eli?
yeah, Jefferson Crossing, Eli.
And where is Mountain Spring Road?
Mountain Spring Road is, oh God, go down, don't match. Oh, actually, I have a pin. It's right over here, 80 Mountain Spring.
And did you go there as well?
Yes.
Okay. Show you picture 4
Okay, that's 80 Mountain Spring.
and picture 5.
80 Mountain Spring.
Now, this sign out in front, what is that?
It appears to be, it looks like a 4-group promo for sale sign that would be sitting outside of a residence that's for sale with a business name on it.
Was that in that position when you went there that day?
No, I don't remember this one in particular because I didn't go up into the property. But however, at the base of the driveway, I do remember seeing a similar type signage.
Now, you can have a seat, sir.
Okay.
You indicated as well that you went to Albany Avenue in Hartford?
Yes.
Where in Albany Avenue in particular? Anywhere?
In the area of Green Street.
And actually, I'm going to ask you to get up again if I can. Thank you. Picture 6. If you can please, do you recognize that map?
Yeah, this 44 Albany Avenue, Albany Ave right there. Yep.
And we keep saying Albany Avenue. What town or city is that?
Hartford.
And with respect to, you mentioned, well, strike that. Where did you go?
We just came up Deer Cliff. We came up to 44, and we just initially that Sunday we just took a cursory canvas down Albany Avenue. Ultimately, we went back Monday If you want me to get into that now. Or,
Well, let me ask you this. On that day, did you walk or drive?
we drove.
Okay, why did you do that? Why did you do a cursory search?
We're just looking for mainly any video cameras in the area, or maybe we're looking for a missing person as well. So we're really just in the early stages of this. It's very fresh. Our purpose of this is to then generate leads to have detectives go out and start pulling videos and, interviewing possible witnesses.
And you went the next day as well?
Yes, so the 27th, correct.
Who did you go with?
Detective Frechette. And I took Officer Deke from the New Canaan Police Department back up there.
Detective Frechette, is he a trooper, detective?
State police detective at the time. He's now a state police sergeant.
Was he one of those individuals that you supervised?
Yes.
Okay. Now, where did you go anywhere specific?
We actually drove that day. You want me to just talk about Hartford that specifically?
Yes,
so that day
please.
we drove back to the Green Street area.
Is Green
304 Albany Avenue, right on the corner. There's a Jamaican restaurant.
Green Street.
Green
I'll start
Street.
with that. Can you point? Is Green Street depicted in that map?
There's a Jamaican restaurant? What? Oh, yeah, where the Jamaican restaurant is. Now I know where it is.
Right down here, actually. Right there.
Okay. I'm gonna scroll in if I can. Did you point to this area?
Yeah, right in this area.
Island Fish
was there an
Head
address in
Jamaican
particular you were
restaurant.
looking
Yeah,
for?
304 Albany Avenue.
And what was in 2019 what was the address 304?
The restaurant was called, it was Benji's Jamaican Restaurant.
If you look at that map now, is that in the same area of the Island Fish Head Jamaican restaurant?
Yeah, it appears to be just a new business with the same building, I can assume for the map.
Okay. Now, what did you find when you went to the Green Street Benji's area?
There was a video camera affixed to the front, I want to say the front awning of the business in clear view, and it appeared to have a clear shot of Albany Avenue and probably a little bit on Green Street.
If I can, I'm going to show you 7. Sir,
Yeah,
do you
so-
recognize that?
Yeah, right there, camera, and that would be Albany Ave.
Okay. And I'm sorry, you pointed to,
The camera, right here,
I'm going to
and then
scroll.
Albany Avenue.
Are you pointing to the white dot on the awning in the middle of the screen?
Yes, right on the white dot or coming off the awning, yes.
Okay. Okay. Now, was that restaurant open when you got there?
No, it was Memorial Day and the restaurant was closed.
In the course
Madeline.
of your
Good to see you, Madeline.
investigation, you mentioned you looked up the properties for for Jefferson 80 Mountain. Did you look up anything else about Photos Duos? Well,
I mean, just investigative background information, through law enforcement databases and again, social media searches.
did you determine or look into how many vehicles he had?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with YouTube today. The numbers are fluctuating ridiculously. It's like we got 50 people watching, then like 70, then 100, then 60. I don't know what YouTube's deal is.
Operated?
Yeah, at the time we knew of roughly, you have the Suburban, the Jeep, Raptor.
Actually, if you could sit down, sir, if you don't mind. Now, you said a Suburban?
Yep. There was a Suburban registered to Mr. Fotis or the Ford Group. I can't remember what the registrant was. We knew he had access to a black Ford Raptor. We also knew that there was a white Jeep Grand Cherokee and that they had access to, Mr. Doulos. And also there was we had information through our canvas.
Ground.
It says we had information, so it's calling for hearsay.
Well, we had information that, and then there was the objection. Where the information led would allow the hearsay to be skipped over.
If I may, Your Honor, perhaps I can ask it just a general way. When you were looking for the video surveillance, what were some things that you were looking for?
You mean when when I'm looking for the cameras, or when I'm looking at video surveillance? I'm sorry.
If you're seeking video surveillance
Okay.
in this case, what are you looking to find?
You mean, is the question mean in general? It's kind of a
context.
vague question.
Well, in this case,
In this case, sir, when you went to Benji's and you
Okay.
saw the camera and you wanted to see what was on that camera, what were you
Understandable.
looking to
At that moment in time, we didn't have a specific vehicle we knew of Mr. Doulos driving that day. All we knew was his handset was in the area. So, and we're looking for any vehicle that he's associated with. So that would be the vehicles registered to him.
And were there other vehicles that were not registered to him but were associated with
Yes.
him that you were looking to find?
Yes.
What would that
Okay,
be?
so
well, were there other vehicles that were not registered to him? Is that the question?
The
That you
question-
were also looking for?
Yes, Your Honor. And again, it's not offered for the truth of the matter here. It's not a statement. It's offered for the purposes of explaining his course of action in the course of the investigation. Hence, it's not hearsay in the state's purview. The really only issue is relevance, and that, I think, is very probative of what steps he took.
If it's not being offered for the truth, then it's not relevant. There is a vehicle connected that is registered to Mr. Doulos, so I'm not sure, other than it's hearsay, that it would have any relevance here. The fact that he was looking for something doesn't make it less hearsay or less relevant.
Well, at this point, the breadth of the investigation involves a number of areas to explore. So at this point, the court understands the testimony to be, we weren't certain about certain things, so we looked at a number of things. So the court is going to overrule the objection.
You can answer your
okay,
question.
could you just repeat it again? Sorry. I'll make sure I have it.
I will try. When you went to Benji's restaurant and you
Okay.
saw the camera, why was that important? What were you looking for
Well,
on that camera?
Well, I'm
And
gonna check
perhaps
this
I can
Oh, my
I can narrow
Lanta.
it a
Just
little
let him
further
go
and
home at
just
this
say,
point.
were you looking for any specific vehicles?
We can't get
We're
through with
looking
this
for
fucking
any specific
question.
vehicles, and we're looking for Jen Doulos.
Okay, let's talk about the vehicles. Start with that.
Okay.
What vehicles were you looking for?
At the time, off the top of my head, we had a black Ford Raptor. We had a white Jeep Grand Cherokee. We had a black Suburban. We also had that we knew of that there was an old Porsche. We didn't know if it was operable or not, but the Porsche, and also a red pickup truck, Toyota Tacoma.
Now, with respect to that red, well, I will withdraw that.
Okay.
So were you able to view video surveillance from Benji's restaurant that day?
No.
Why not?
Again, the restaurant was closed. It was Memorial Day.
So what did you do?
Jet drafted a lead, and I sent that lead to the Troop L office, specifically to go to 304 Albany Avenue. I outlined, an hour and a half window for the detective to go and pull video.
What's a lead?
Lead it's a command post style thing we do where you're really just tracking everything the detectives are doing in real time, because they're not sitting there typing reports yet. So it's just really tracking manpower, and then if new leads develop through witness interviews, we'll draft one up, and then it's accountability to assign leads to detectives as well.
And in the course of the early stages of your investigation, did you learn anything, whether or not anything had been seen off of the surveillance video of Benji's? Not saying what it was, just did you learn if you had anything had been capable of being retained?
Okay. Yes. So detective.
So the answer is yes. Thank you.
And
So if that's the answer, is the objection withdrawn?
It is withdrawn, yes.
if I may, and again, we'll go slow without saying what you learned yet. Based on what you learned, did you take any action?
Yes. So the action I took was I contacted the Central District Major Crime Squad, and I had a detective go over to Hartford's C4, which is the Capital City Command Center with video surveillance.
Why would you do that?
Well, we have.
Before we proceed, perhaps it would be better for Sergeant Ventresca to explain what C4 is.
That's fantastic. Sir, what is C4?
Okay, so I don't, it's a Hartford police.
Hilarious how the judge has to hold the prosecutor's hand.
City of Hartford building. It's called, I believe, the Hartford Capital City Command Center, the 4 Cs. Again, in this center, there's several analysts. They have camera feeds throughout the city, so they're able to go back historically, roughly 30 days, and look throughout the city of vehicles and people driving by and all that stuff.
So what was it that, and this is where, what was it that you learned from Benji's camera that made you take the steps to contact C4?
Objection.
Ground.
Hearsay, and it's irrelevant. The fact that he saw something and gave the information to the authorities to follow up to the Capital City Command Center is what's relevant, and then if there's going to be video, it will be played, but to have him describe it is not the best evidence, and it's also hearsay.
Well, the court understands the question to be, from what you viewed on the video, what did you do? That's how the court understood the question.
If I may just clarify that briefly, Your Honor, it's what he learned from the Benji's video. I don't think there's a representation that he saw the video. I believe there's and if I may just offer a proof here, representation that he received screenshots from the video. I just want to make that clear for the record.
Well, the question of the court would understand it is, from the screenshots that you received of the video, what did you do?
Yes, Your Honor.
More like chlorophyll.
So if that's going to be the question, the objection is overruled.
Thank you. From the screenshots of the video, sir, what did you do?
Contacted the Hartford C4.
And with respect to the screenshots, what was it that they contained that made you or contact C4 after you had viewed them?
Same objection. I thought the court had clarified, so.
So the question now is, it concerns the content of the screenshots.
Yes, sir.
And the court understands the content of the screenshots are not just photos. Correct?
Hey, Mom!
It's a photograph of a screenshot of a video, so it's just a photograph.
Screenshot of a video.
Yes.
So essentially, the objection is, because it is a screenshot of a video, it is essentially, as the court understands the objection, it essentially is hearsay within hearsay. Is that the objection?
Yes, sir.
And again, Your
Counsel, you can
Honor,
respond.
the state's position is it is not even hearsay. The state's not offering it as a statement for the truth of the matter asserted. I'm offering it as it's something that Sergeant Ventresca received, looked at, and because he saw it, almost exactly the same information that he just testified to, that he researched Photos Doulos, got information about the vehicles, got information about the property, and then drove up to look at the properties to see where it is. Now he's receiving another piece of information. It's a screenshot of a video. He's taking that, he's looking at it, he's determining the information in his investigative skill, which adequacy of the investigation is something that's relevant in this case, as well as any case. And he's interpreting that and taking steps to investigate. He has a right to explain the steps of his investigation. It is certainly not offered for the truth of what is contained in it. The state will present the officer who sees the video next, Your Honor, but this individual did not. So it is offered simply as a tool similar to the exact same information that he received with the vehicles.
Well, if the next witness who actually saw the video is to testify about what he saw in the video,
I know, Gary. It's boring. They should end it. I don't know, Gary.
The
I know you haven't been around for a while, Gary. How you doing?
Intent and tenor
Oh, I'm
of
glad to hear it, Gary.
hearsay for that
All right, it's enough, Gary.
testimony to come.
I
from
can't
this
tell the
witness.
judge to end the court, Gary. What do you want me to do?
Understood, Your Honor. I can definitely
Okay,
have
I'll put
that
you on the
witness
screen.
testify to what they saw in the video and what they conveyed to Sergeant Printessa.
There you go, Gary.
Well, we'll have to take that up on Monday
Thank you.
because it is now 4:46. And we are going to adjourn for the day. Ladies and
Oh,
gentlemen, thank you for your attention. We ask that you have a good evening, and please try to avoid any media coverage about the case, and please avoid talking to anyone about the case or anyone talking to you about the case. Thank you.
I'll bring some records to the ladies.
Sergeant, you may step down.
Sergeant, take your girthy neck out of there.
Oh my God! I will smash your face into a jelly!
All right, folks, I'm going to end the stream. Thank you all so much for being here and watching with us. Thank you, mods, for crushing it as always. When I end the stream, it's going to take you to Shannon's stream on Saturday. If you could hit the likes, hit the like and get it in the algorithm, it would be greatly appreciated. And if I don't see you on Saturday, have a great weekend during Shannon's stream. Feral Friday on Kick tonight. Don't forget Feral Friday on Kick tonight, I believe. Also, Monday, 10:30 Eastern, Donna's appearance. We hope you can join us to watch that. Should be fun, and then we'll go back to the trial. Love you guys. Thank you, mods. Thank you, everybody. Catch you on the next one.